Hey everyone, it's Matt, and I was up making videos, and I remembered that my friend Ace Wilcox made a video about his thoughts on bullying, and I had wanted to make one for some time, and I figured I'm here, and so I'm going to share my thoughts on bullying. Alright, so, um, when I was younger, I was small, sick a lot. My parents weren't filthy rich, so I didn't always have name brand clothes, and I had to wear really thick glasses because I had eye problems. And kids would pick on me for those things. They would bully me, and it got bad. And it got to the point where I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to be around other kids. There were times when I cried about it. There were times when I begged my parents not to make me go to school. There were times when I hated life, and it was pretty horrible. It's pretty bad when you wake up in the morning and your first thought is, I don't want to get jumped on the way to school. And it's pretty bad that when the bell rings, at school, you think, okay, I don't want to get jumped on the way home from school. There were times when kids would come at me in groups of two, five. I think maybe the largest might have been like 10 or 12. All right. I remember one time the lunch monitor saw the kids bullying me, saw the kids trying to hit me, saw a kid um, hit me in the nose, and the blood went flying all over the snow. And rather than get those kids in trouble, she got me in trouble for it. There were times when some of the safeties at school, in elementary school, the people that wore the little orange belts that, were in charge of making people cross the street at the right time or, reporting foul activity to the teachers or whatever, there were times when those people ganged up on me and tried to get me and my brother in trouble. And, of course, the teachers would always believe the safeties over the kids who weren't the safeties. And so it got to a point where I was like, okay, I could be minding my business. I could be trying to be a good person. I could be trying to do a good job at what I'm doing. I could just be traveling from one place to another, and I can't do that peacefully. That's tyranny. Bullying is really a form of tyranny, okay? So it got to a point where I was like, I really don't have anything to lose. My life sucks. It's horrible. People are bullying me all the time. And so I said, okay, I'm going to start fighting back. Even if I get beat up, at least I'm going to get a hit in. If I got to get beat up, just, and I only get one hit in, maybe I'll learn the next time I'll get two hits in, So actually what I did first was I tried to learn how to out insult people, and that's not the route to go. I'm not promoting that, and I'm not promoting violence. If people are bullying you, physically bullying you and picking on you, and they're just, enacting all this tyranny on you, don't be one of those people that's like, well, I'm going to ignore it. Ignoring a problem never makes it go away. If you look at people that have really bad medical conditions, and they finally go to the hospital and they're like, well, I've ignored it all this time. Wow, okay, well, it's gotten really bad, and now you might be terminally ill from it. Okay, and I say that because sometimes bullying makes people do things like cut themselves, or self-harm themselves, or commit suicide. The whole sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but names have never hurt me. That is the dumbest saying ever. Like, that is so inaccurate. So, look, I've been hit plenty of times, and I healed from that. But I remember the name calling, the insults. I remember all that stuff, and I've seen what that does to people, all that the emotional trauma that they face when they've been called certain things or had certain things said to them that lasts for life in some people. So learn to defend yourself. See if your parents will put you in martial arts. I'm not saying beat everybody up. That violence is always the answer. But violence is a pretty dang good answer to tyranny. I mean, seriously, look at Saddam Hussein, how many people he bullied. And what happened? America got involved. They were tired of him bullying people. Well, no matter what you think about the war, hey, Americans came there and we laid the smackdown on the bully. And the result was that he ended up in being executed, and his sons had to have people with some pretty good reconstructive skills basically give them part of the head so that they could have an, an open casket funeral. You know, I'm not saying kill your bullies or anything like that, but those were very bad bullies. Those were tyrants. And to me, a bully is just a smaller tyrant. tyrant nonetheless, and tyrants should never be tolerated. The thing that tyrants feed off of is fear, acceptance, and tolerance. If you fear them, you tolerate what they're doing, and you just accept that what they're doing is going to happen, they get bigger. They get bigger, they get better at what they do, they get better at getting away with what they do, they get more powerful, they get more bold with what they're doing, they'll come after you more. I mean, you feed that in somebody, and it's never enough for them. You have to learn to fight back. I am 32 years old. I've served in the Marines. I've served in the Army. Um, at this point in time, I have a red belt in Hapkido. Hopefully, in about a year, I'll have a black belt. I've studied Jiu-Jitsu. I've studied Wing Chun Kung Fu. You don't always have to be a big guy to take out a bully. Case in point, I had a lieutenant when I was in the Marines that decided he didn't like how I responded towards something that I was told to do. And so he tried to make me tap out in front of my whole platoon. He set things up on purpose a certain way so that he could try to physically teach me a lesson. And I was a small guy when I was in the Marines. I couldn't get any bigger, but I paid attention when I went to the Fighter's Garage in Falls Church, Virginia. It was a Gracie Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school. I paid attention, and I learned that you can use leverage and technique and things like that to your advantage against a stronger opponent. He went in for a double leg takedown, and I put him in a guillotine choke, and that was that. So if you're being bullied, you need to start sticking up for yourself. But before you start sticking up for yourself, I want you to be smart about it and learn how to win before you enter the arena. Okay, learn how to physically defend yourself. Be smart about it. If this stuff is happening, write it down, take notes so that if you got to go to court for it or if you got to talk to a teacher or something like that about it, you have it written down so the other person can't go, oh, they're just making it up. And you can be like, no, dude, look, I wrote it all down. you know, different days, different colored pens, different colored pencils, things like that. It's this whole notebook of you doing all these tyrannical things to me, and it's going to stop. I'm tired of it. Try to take as peaceful of a route as you can first, and then you have to get physical with that person because they're physically harming you. Let them have it. I'm sorry, but the laws no longer protect the good people. For some reason, a lot of laws seem to protect the bad people. So look into what it's like around you and do what you got to do to make that stop. Because until somebody stops a bully, they're just going to keep doing it. They're just going to keep doing it. It's not going to stop. I've had to punch kids. I punched one kid one time. He had my hand. He was doing something painful. He wanted to take something of his mind. Punched him as hard as I could. Doubled over. I thought he was going to throw up. And it was awesome. And he left me alone. Another kid was picking on me. His name was Jason. And he came after me on the basketball court. And I kicked him in the groin as hard as I could. He came up off his feet, landed down, was crying, everything else. This is a guy that picked on me quite a bit. And he came up to me later on crying, saying he was afraid he was never going to be able to have kids. And I thought to myself, good. That people like you shouldn't breed because you're horrible. Pretty bad thing to think. I probably shouldn't have said that, but he deserved it. He deserved it. The guy came after me and physically attacked me a bunch of times. So learn how to defend yourself. Don't tolerate bullying ever. It's you have one life here to live before you go one of two places, and I hope you go. I hope you go to the good place. But you have a right to make the most of this life, without doing anything horrible or criminal or anything like that. Um, you want to be able to look back on your childhood or even if you're an adult and you're getting bullied, you want to look back at your life and be like, wow, I made the most of it. You don't want to look back and think, I wish I would have stood up for myself. That era of my life was horrible. So fight back, fight back, fight back and stand your ground. That's what I got to say about that.